In today's episode, we are going to be making 5 coastal, beautiful, traditional home decor crafts using some Dollar Tree stuff, a couple of things I found at thrift stores, just a whole hodgepodge of fun craft supplies to make something beautiful for our homes. All right, friends, now let's get crafting. This DIY is a look for less project. Now, I could not believe that these were so expensive, and all it really is a couple of pieces of wood that are painted to look just like it. So I went ahead and cut those pieces outside from some old scrap wood that I happen to have on hand, and each one of the faces of these blocks are a different color. So I'm going to go with a white, and then a really pretty icy blue, and then the very last one is a tan color. I really love trying to color match. It's one of my favorite things to do when it comes to painting. So I'm just doing a really nice one coat on the front of these blocks because I wanted to have that rustic distressed look that you saw in the inspiration. And then for the very last one, I'm just adding in some more of the lighter color to make sure that it matches. Once I had that all painted, I came around on the back side with a really dark slate brownish gray color, and this looks just like the one from the inspiration. I'm just going to go all around all the sides and around the back, and then I did that on all of them so that they all had that same look. Now, this particular wood came from the wall between our living room and our kitchen when I ripped it down myself, so I have so much extra wood on hand all the time because of that one DIY that I did. And now I wanted to show you all, I know some of you are really nervous to hand letter paint, and some of you still don't have a cutting vinyl machine yet. So if you have stamps on hand, I like to use an acrylic block and acrylic stamps, and I'm just going to test it out first with the paint to make sure it's adhering smoothly to the acrylic stamp, and then I'm just going to stamp it right on. This is a great way to get lettering on your projects without feeling like you have to be really good at hand painting or buying a really expensive machine. Now, I will say I do love my big expensive machine, my Cricut, but I definitely want you to know that there are other options. So here I am, I'm going through and I'm stamping on all of their different quotes, and by the end it looks exactly like the inspiration, and I did this project for free. So just know that there are so many fun projects out there that don't cost anything. This DIY is super simple. I find baskets like this all the time at my thrift stores, and they are honestly one of my favorite things to pick up. Now, I always get things half off. I go on the days where there's half off sales. So I'm going to start by just removing these handles from my buckets, and then I'm going to take them outside and I'm going to spray paint them this beautiful blue color. I thought this color was so pretty. I love how it looks against the white. So I'm now going back in with some white paint that's acrylic with my paintbrush, and I'm just going around the rim, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of distressing so that way it has a very summery feel to it. I just love how this looks with the distressing on it, and you can see that I'm coming in with a grayish brown color and really distressing the areas where it would get a lot of wear and tear. And I think that this really adds so much personality to the bucket when you do this. Now I'm coming in and I'm dry brushing it, but then I'm taking a paper towel and I'm really rubbing it in and helping it soak into the bucket itself. Then last, I just put the handles back on, and I will be using it to display towels in my bathroom. We need 2 frames, some rope, and then we're going to be using some different paint, white and blue. This fabric, I had pulled it, but I ended up not using it in the end, and you'll see what I'm going to be doing. And then 2 pictures to put inside your frames. So we are going to be taking the rope, and the trick with this is that you want to first put the rope on and then kind of curl it out towards the inside of the frame. So you're going along that inner part of the frame versus having that gold showing where you can see that it is a frame that's not just wrapped all in rope. I felt like that made it really look polished and finished. And then when you go around the corners, play with the rope, bend it and manipulate it before you glue it down, so that way it really does take that curve nicely versus you're struggling with it and it doesn't look like it's sitting in there nicely. And then when you get to the sides on the ends, I untwisted my rope just a little bit on those spots so that way it spread out the rope some to cover it up even better. And then I went back with the twist again and brought it around that curve. So you're going to see me do it right here. I stretched it out and then I'm going to keep it twisted again and come around that side. This really does finish the look and make it look really polished and high end. So at the point when you're in the end spot, you're just going to take it and bring it around the back, flatten it out a little bit, and then here it is nice and covered with all the rope. Now we could leave it like this and put our two frames together, or we can make it look something really special and custom, which is what we're going to be doing next. So on the inside, I really wanted to make sure that you can only see the rope, so I decided to add just a little bit of that white like you saw. And now I'm going to lay the frames right next to each other so that the rope is taped off at the exact same spots on both the frames. And then I'm going to take some white paint and I'm going to massage that into the rope, making sure that I get all of those crevices and all of those teeny tiny little nooks and crannies that can be a little tricky to paint when it comes to rope. So just make sure you just keep tapping it in and keep adding in paint as you go. Now I really think this is so pretty. This really does remind me of being down at the beach. Sometimes they do paint rope down on those piers and it just looks so pretty when you see the rope painted in some spots and then you have the regular natural rope. I really love how this looks. So once we're done with all the white, we're going to actually add on another color. And the cool thing about this, you can add on whatever color you would like. Since I'm going very nautical for this DIY, we're going to be adding on a really pretty American blue. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to position my tape, making sure they're at the exact same spots so that they all look nice and even. And then I'm just going to cut it and wrap them around because I want to make 2 blue stripes on each of the frames going down, which will really make it look high end, something that you would pick up at maybe Pottery Barn around the summertime. So here I am, I'm just wrapping it around nice and tight, and then make sure you tap it down into all those little crevices of the rope because you don't want it to bleed on accident. It could really mess up the project. So here I am, I'm at the very end, and now I can add in a really pretty blue. Again, you can do whatever color you want, but I love this blue color right now. I've just been really digging on it, and so I've been using it a lot in my DIYs. So again, we're going to press down the tape and then just keep tapping it into the spots. And then once you've got both of those frames done, you can go ahead and take off the tape and it's going to reveal the coolest look to these frames. Now, you could just always put the backers on them and stand them up somewhere on a shelf or a bookcase, wherever you want to put them. But I decided I wanted to have them hanging with each other. I thought this would be really pretty to hang up in a home somewhere. So I'm taking off the tape at this point, and then I'm going to make sure that, again, these frames are going to be perfectly aligned. I think that is the trick with this. So on the back side, when I put the frame back together, I cut off the support leg because we're not going to need that, and then I just glued it down so that way when it's up against a wall hanging up, it's not going to have this thing that can keep flapping and moving around. And then I'm not going to change out these pictures ever because I really want this to be a memory that we preserve for our family when we went to the beach. And I am just putting those in with a little bit of hot glue, and I'm just simply securing them. And now I can flip it over. I added a top hanging rope so that way I can hang it up somewhere in my home. And then I'm going to take 2 more pieces, and you can see that I'm flattening them out so this lays really nice and flat against the wall. And I'm gluing them all down. And then make sure again that the frames are perfectly aligned so that way it's not hanging crooked, because that could be such a bummer. You went through all that work and then it's crooked. So here I am, I'm just adding in the last little bit of the rope to complete the look, and then you are ready to hang it up somewhere in your home. This DIY has a free printable for you all to grab. Today we're going to be working with the blue hydrangeas. It'll be linked over on my website where it's virus free and easy to grab. So that link is down below in my description box to go and get it. Now we're going to be using 2 of these large canvases from the Dollar Tree. I'm pretty sure there's 2 in a pack. I could be wrong, but it should cost us about $1 to maybe about $2.50 to make these projects that we're about to make right now. So I'm going to go ahead and print out my printer, cut it down to size, and then now I'm going to spray some hairspray on it because it really does lock in the ink onto the paper. Now I'm finding the center point of my frame, or my canvas I mean, and now I'm going to just come in with my hot glue and I'm just going to glue that down. Now I did do a little dollop right in the middle, and I'm working fast so that it doesn't make the paper all lumpy, that the glue doesn't start to dry. I'm making sure that the line, when I put it down, I can smooth it out so it's nice and flat against the canvas. Now I'm going to take some more scrap wood that I had on hand. I actually have a friend in our neighborhood. I was driving by and she waved me down while they were cleaning out their garage and said, "Heidi, I have this big pile of wood. Do you want all of these different stakes?" Which, yes, I love when people give me free wood. So I went ahead and measured out the corners because I wanted these corners to be mitered together in the corners, and I'm just using my miter box and I'm cutting it out. Now you can see that I'm not doing a straight middle cut. I'm cutting at an angle, which is what's going to allow them to miter into each other, which is going to be so cool having this angle cut, and it's going to make it look so high end. I can't even tell you how much online stores, high-end stores charge for artwork like this, and we're basically doing it for the cost of ink, scrap wood that someone gave to me, and the background canvas from the Dollar Tree. So I mean, like, it is so affordable to do these projects yourself and have a beautiful high-end looking home without paying a ton of money. Friends, I try so hard to convince people, don't ever pay those big prices. So now I've decided I wanted to go through and create more of a whitewashed look to the wood, so it takes down some of the yellow warm tone to it, make it more of a high-end farmhouse coastal feel. And then I decided to come in with a tan paint to just make the canvas look more like it was covered in fabric, more high-end looking than it just being a canvas. I went around that a couple times, dried it with my heat gun, and now that my wood's all dry and done, I can go ahead and add in some E6000 and some hot glue and just pop my frame right into place, making sure things line up properly. And then once that was done and all glued in place, I wanted to make sure that nothing pops off over time, so I just flipped it over and then I stapled it down on the back side with my staple gun, and then I came in with some brown packing paper on the back just to clean up the backside so it has a nice clean finish. I forgot to show that part, but before I put down that finishing paper, I took a rope and I'm just going to flatten down the rope. I untwisted it and I'm going to just glue it down into place as flat as I can, so that way we have an ability to hang it up. And then I did not want to finish it with the rope. So the reason why I like using the rope with the ribbon is it gives it the structure without the ribbon collapsing and looking kind of funky or bunched. So you can see here that I'm just taking my ribbon and lightly gluing the ribbon onto the rope to create that structure without it having it being bunched or funny or pulling weird. And then the rope is staying in place and it allows it to hang up really nicely and very high-end looking. So once I had my ribbon nice and flat the way I wanted it to, I went ahead and made a couple little cuts and then added a bow right onto the top, allowing me to be able to hang it up without any issues with the bow. This DIY's inspiration comes from Antique Farmhouse, one of my favorite online places, and I knew that we could make this pot for so much more affordable. Now they do give you 2 pots for the $42, but I'm gonna just use this tall bucket from the Dollar Tree that I picked up and I've had on hand. I took off the sticker on the bottom with my heat gun, and now I'm just unwrapping all of the twine they had around it, and then to take down the adhesive that it had stuck to the bucket and those little fibers, I just used my sanding block from the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to use this wire that was left over from a project from last year. It had a star on it that I popped off. I always keep these types of wires because they're great for projects like this, and they're really strong, durable wires. So you can see here that I bent out 2 of the ends, and then I'm turning it into almost like a little rainbow arch. Now the best way to explain this is I'm going to bend it in so it looks like a handle on a dresser drawer. And then at the middle point, as if it was pushing into the dresser itself, I then make it become a frowny face. So you can see that the legs are coming out, and then there's the arch for the rainbow. So I did that twice, and then I'm going to line up where I want it to be able to go into my bucket for the inspiration picture. And I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile and just punch out 2 holes. I love this tool, friends. I say it all the time. Everyone should have one of these in their craft room. They're so friendly to your hand if you have a hard time squeezing things. I love this tool. It goes through metal and plastic, all sorts of materials, wood. I love it. I've had mine for years and it is still holding up after like 10 years of having it. And then after that, I just put the wires, the ends that we bent in, I put those through the holes. I'm clamping them into place. And then I'm going to go ahead and just bend it and manipulate it into the spacing that I want it so it looks just like the inspiration. Now at this point, it's ready to be painted. So I took it outside and I spray painted it a creamy ivory white. And then I'm now going to go with the colors for the inspiration. I will say that I ended up doing more of a sky blue versus a teal baby soft blue color. I wanted it to be more of a blue, sky blue color. So I'm coming in at the very top with the blue, and then I'm creating an ombre effect. So I'm blending in the white from the bottom and the blue from the top going into the middle. As I get to certain points that I like the way it looks, I come in with my heat gun to dry it, and then I keep blending more until I get that desired ombre. Really pretty. It almost reminds me of like the ocean and the sea foam that comes up with it. I just love how that looks so much on this bucket. Now I'm going to take a coal gray brown color and I'm going to just tap around it to give it that enamel look that the inspiration had. And I'm just going along the bottom, the handles, and the top. And then I'm going to bring in a toothbrush. My daughter asked me just the other day why I had a toothbrush in my craft room, and this is why, because I use a toothbrush to get that speckled paint look on my projects. And then to do the finishing touches, I'm just coming back in with some white and just creating some layers on this project. Now, can you believe this inspiration? I think it looks so much like it. Had I used more of a teal color, it would have been spot on, but I wanted more of a blue color to match my decor. $1 versus $42, and even if I only had 2 of them, that is still me saving a ton of money. Maybe coastal is not your style for your home, but I want you to imagine switching up colors and trying some of these techniques for other projects that you might want to make for your home. Don't forget to head over to my blog so you can pick up that free printable, and please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it today. I'm going to recommend this video right here. Go check it out. You'll probably enjoy it. It's some fun ideas, some fun techniques to try in your own craft room. Thank you so much for visiting with me today. And until the next episode, bye friends.